Welcome to Book Chats. I'm Patricia Sargeant. Our book for today's chat is Mayhem Mass, the first book in my Sister Lou Mystery Cozy Mystery series, which I write as Olivia Matthews. I'm sensing a little confusion, and that's perfectly okay. I'm confused too. When I first suggested the Sister Lou Mystery series to my editor, she asked me to take a pen name, a pseudonym. She didn't want there to be a connection between the romances that I write as Patricia Sargeant and these mysteries. I was disappointed, but I wanted to tell my story. The Sister Lou Mystery Series features as its heroine a 67-year-old Catholic sister, a sister, not a nut. Nuns are cloistered and sisters are out in the community. Sister Louise Lou LaSalle is a reluctant amateur sleuth. She's not like Father Brown or Father Darling or Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote. She's not psyched to investigate these murders. She wants to do what she does with her congregation over here, which is community outreach, and leave the sheriff's deputies to investigate the homicides. But circumstances keep dragging Sister Lou back into the investigations. And when she does these investigations, she partners with what she refers to as her amateur sleuth team. Her nephew, Chris LaSalle, who's well connected in the community, and an investigative newspaper reporter, Shari Henson. So they have their roles and responsibilities, and Sister Lou oversees them, so to speak. Situations such as Mayhem Mass. Now, when I write these stories, I write them so that you can read them in any order. I realize that readers don't necessarily discover series in their proper order. So when I write the stories, I give you enough background, hopefully, so that you get to know the characters and you know the setup. And then you're into the story without giving anything away from previous mysteries. So Mayhem Mass I'm referring to as my first book in the series, but if you haven't read it yet, but you've read 2 or 3, that's perfectly fine. Here's the book description for Mayhem Mass. For a plainclothes nun, sleuthing is a habit. That's pretty cute, isn't it? The copy editors came up with that one. I like it. And so does the sister who inspired the series. A Los Angeles transplant, Sister Louise Lou LaSalle, feels right at home in Briar Coast, New York. After all, her beloved nephew Chris works at the college founded by the congregation. But while Sister Lou has always played by the rules, she's about to have her faith in herself tested by murder. Sister Lou expects some pushback when she invites her friend, Dr. Maurice Jordan, to be the guest speaker for the St. Hermione of Ephesus Feast Day presentation. The theology professor is known far and wide for his controversial views. What Sister Lou's not prepared for is finding Maurice dead in his hotel room, bashed over the head. When the local deputies focus on the members of her congregation as suspects, Sister Lou takes matters into her own hands. Against Chris's wishes, she teams up with a cynical local reporter to delve into Maurice's life. The unlikely partners in crime fighting uncover a litany of devotees and detractors. And though it might take a miracle to find the killer, Sister Lou vows to carry on until justice prevails. So that's the setup. Now here is an excerpt from the story. I call this scene, and it's an abbreviated scene, Necessary Risks. Now remember, I don't do voices very well. I don't do voices at all. So follow along closely. Sister Lou blew a disgusted breath. It's been about 43 hours, and the sheriff's deputies are still questioning people who had nothing to do with the murder. It's ridiculous, Sister Carmen said. The two jogged in silence for a while. The sun lifted higher in the sky, chasing away the morning dew. The bird songs accompanied their steps as they jogged the first lap of the campus oval. Sister Lou broke the companionable silence. Marianne is furious, and she has every right to be. The interrogations aren't pleasant. Sister Carmen waited until they crested the hill leading toward the students' residence halls before she continued. They try to trip you up. You know you're telling the truth, but by the end of the interrogation, you start to doubt yourself. Meanwhile, a murderer is at large, perhaps still in Briar Coast. Sister Lou exchanged a nod of greeting with a group of students they passed on the unofficial jogging path. The 7 or 8 young women moved as a tight, synchronized group, as though they'd been running together for years. Are you going to do your own investigation? Sister Carmen asked. I told Chris that I'm going to work with the Telegraph reporter Shari Henson to investigate Maurice's murder. What did Chris say to that? He wasn't happy, but this is my decision. Sister Carmen gave a breathy chuckle. You just remind that overprotective nephew of yours that the will of God will never take you where the grace of God can't protect you. Amen. Sister Lou wiped the sweat from her brow with the back of her hand. I'll call Shari Monday morning. I'd rather talk with Maurice's widow myself before going to the deputies. Just as long as you tell me everything. You know that I will. And please be careful. You are investigating a murder. Do I need to remind you of God's grace and protection as well? Sister Lou smiled at Sister Carmen. Just tell me you won't take unnecessary risks. Tension shook Sister Carmen's voice. I won't. Sister Lou thought, I'm not worried about unnecessary risks. It's the necessary ones that concern me. And that's the end of that scene. I was inspired to write the Sister Lou Mystery Series by an actual congregation of Catholic women, the Congregation of the Dominican Sisters of Peace in Columbus, Ohio. When I created the series, I deliberately made up a congregation, the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Hermione of Ephesus, and located them in a fictitious small town, Briar Coast, New York, which in my mind is set somewhere southwest of Buffalo, New York. I made up that location and that congregation because I didn't want there to be any comparisons between the stories and the congregation that inspired the congregation in the stories. One of my motivations in developing a mystery series starring a Catholic sister is that I wanted to contrast or develop an argument against the image that popular media has created of Catholic religious women. Popular media depicts Catholic religious women as dour, judgmental people who are disconnected from modern society, and that could not be less actual. The congregation that I used to work with, the Congregation of the Dominican Sisters of Peace, are warm, welcoming people who are very much involved in our communities and who fight for and who represent and make every effort to protect the community that they serve. And for them, it's not just their zip code area or their county. They speak for communities all over the world. And by creating these characters in this congregation, I hope to reflect that and to communicate that. I hope this book chat has helped to increase your interest in Mayhem and Mass and the Sister Lou Mystery series in general. To find out more about the book and the series, please visit my website, patriciasargeant.com. There's a hyperlink to my website in the dialog box below this video. There are also hyperlinks to friend me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and to subscribe to my free author e-newsletter and this YouTube channel. If you like this book chat, please give it a thumbs up and share the link with your friends. And if you have any questions or comments about Mayhem and Mass or other stories, please post a comment in the dialog box below this video, and I'll do my very best to answer your questions and comments. So until next month when we chat about a new book, happy reading.